everyone, and welcome back to our unsettled journey. And what an unsettled situation it's been for a lot of people. That's why in today's video we wanted to talk a little bit about how we feel travel as a whole will change once this current pandemic has ended.
So this video is basically going to be what our thoughts are of the travel industry and everything that'll come with all the changes that have happened. I mean, who knows, this event will change travel forever, that's for sure.
So without further ado, we're going to get right into it.
So obviously from now on, cleanliness will have a much higher standard to it. You're going to see lots of sanitization going on. So you're going to see a much higher level of sanitization and cleanliness all throughout the travel industry, whether it's on airplanes, ships, or even just going to and from certain areas.
Having places clean and sanitized more often is just going to give people who want to get out and travel more feel more comfortable. People aren't going to get out and want to travel if they're feeling uncomfortable. So knowing that certain companies and areas that they may visit are doing the best they can and sanitizing and cleaning often will give them that peace of mind that they need to get out there and feel comfortable traveling again. So one of the hardest hit areas in this whole situation has been the airline industry. Of course, nobody is flying domestically or internationally. In fact, there's bans on a lot of different types of air travel right now. So in the coming months after the situation has eased up, you're probably going to notice not only inexpensive fares to fly again, so that the airlines, they want your business, they're going to lower their prices, but you may also see the continuation of taking out that middle seat entirely. If it is a plane that has a middle seat, they just won't be for sale. So when you do finally get yourself back on an airplane and people start to begin to travel again, you may notice that there are just less people on each of the planes that leave. That again will encourage people to not necessarily be afraid and give them the peace of mind that we mentioned earlier about going ahead and getting back on a plane and flying again.
So let's bring on the flexibility. So pretty much from now on, I would say a majority of the time, now granted not all the time, some companies are pretty strict about this, but a lot more leniency and flexibility will be put on to future travel and anything booked probably within now in the next 2 years or so. Just because, things change, events happen, you never know what's going to happen. Like always, like everything we've always said about travel, you can never predict everything, so everything's just up in the air right now. But a lot of the airlines are doing future credits, future bookings for up to 2 years, so a lot more flexibility in the future.
And with that flexibility, you may notice a lot of people considering taking out travel insurance that hadn't taken it out before. I used to work at a travel agency for about 2 years, and I saw a lot of situations where we really encouraged the consumer to take out travel insurance, especially if they were traveling a long distance or if maybe they were spending a lot of money on a particular trip. Travel insurance, of course, if something comes up, something unexpected like this pandemic that we're experiencing, it would help relieve some of that financial cost that you might be out if you weren't able to cancel by the vendor. So you may notice a lot of travel insurance policies being purchased, but you also may notice those insurances, especially the cancel for any reason insurances, those premium prices are going to go way up.
So from now on, you better get friendly with your neighbors, and that means, your local community as well as your whole country, because there's going to be a lot more local and domestic travel versus international travel, especially within the next year or two. So be prepared to travel within your country. I mean, your country probably has a lot more than you think to offer. Even though you may think you've seen everything, there's always those hidden gems throughout the area, so just feel free to explore your country and your community as well.
You also may notice people wanting to go and visit their families. Of course, not all of our family lives in our same town. I think a lot of people will first want to travel to visit those loved ones that they may not have been able to see for the past several months while we've all been at home. So we mentioned how airline prices may be down for the first few months after all this has ended. However, another hard-hit industry has been the cruise industry. As of now, cruises have stopped their operation all the way up until almost July of this summer 2020. So having to come back from that, the cruise lines are probably going to put their prices pretty low as well. We already know from previous experience that cruise lines have a bad reputation for having widespread illnesses, and with this particular pandemic, it has received some big media stories about the widespread illness that has caused the passengers to sometimes be quarantined in very tight cabins with not being able to get out into the fresh air at all. So that's going to be difficult to recover from, but we feel like the cruise lines are going to present a pretty low price to begin with. However, you want to keep in mind your upfront ticket price may be low. You'd want to expect some of those shore excursions and things that you pay for on the ship to most likely increase, because the cruise lines are going to have to make up from this loss, several months of loss with no passengers on their ships. You may even notice several cruise lines and cruise ships blocking out maybe a dozen rooms or so to have as quarantine rooms should something break out again on board. That way they don't have a completely full ship with no place to put sick passengers. They would have certain blocked off rooms all ready to be kind of a quarantine room, but that's just a prediction. We don't actually know.
So a lot of this has also led to the downfall of live events. And a lot of us do travel to go see certain people in concert or certain events, in different areas. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen for the foreseeable future. So be prepared to be at least in small groups, and you're not going to be in any crowded areas anytime soon. So large events, unfortunately, are not going to happen. But a lot of local, maybe smaller events, such as small meetups or certain local groups in certain areas may have localized events similar. Unfortunately, large events are going to be happening anytime soon. So another industry that has sadly been affected is hotels, resorts, and short-term rentals. So for larger hotel chains, you're going to see a lot of a difference, obviously a lot more cleanliness going on, but large communal gatherings such as breakfast might not happen. They may also switch. Let me finish. Sorry. Breakfast is gonna happen, okay? However, they may switch to in-room services, or may switch to a staggered certain floor level system. Who knows what's gonna happen with that? But obviously breakfast, you might not be able to go when you want to go, just due to safety restrictions and so on and so forth.
As you may see when you enter a hotel or an airport, much like we may see even near our home cities at restaurants or various other venues, you may start to notice people are taking precautions by taking the temperatures of the guests that are either checking in or trying to fly. I know that that's been happening right now while this is all current. However, even after, I wouldn't be surprised if certain hotel chains, when you check in, try to check your temperature. Cruise lines, for example, at the pier, when you check in, it's just part of the process. It may just change what we know and make it more often as you go about and do certain things.
So short-term rentals are a tricky little situation because each of them, since they're not regulated, abide by their own rules and safety measures. So some of them might be a gamble, but we obviously recommend messaging the host first thing and asking what their safety procedures are. But a lot of people might prefer that they stay in a hotel versus a short-term rental due to that fact. So another thing, since people are going to be probably driving a lot, even though the gas prices are really, really cheap right now, they're going to go up. So once all of these stay-at-home orders are lifted, there's going to be a lot more driving happening. And a lot of people are going to be driving a lot more since they're going to be traveling locally and starting to get back to things as usual.
So those are just a few of the ways that we believe travel is going to change after all this. Again, even after it has ended, the effects of it will continue into the next year or even 2 years. So we want to thank you for watching our video. We encourage you to subscribe, comment, and like our video to engage with us, interact, and we will see you in next time's video.